Welcome in to another edition of Nick Patrick's Mailbag. I am Cassio, your co-host, steering the ship, trying to keep us between the ditches. I can't keep us between the lines, but I can keep us between the ditches. And I'm here with the man of the hour, the legend himself, the world's most hated referee, the NWO ref himself, Mr. Nick Patrick. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Had a good day so far. Everything's good, man. Big Nick went to the gym with me and kicked my butt, and we've come back and had lunch, and I've got everybody taken care of for the time being. So right now, all is good.
How are you doing? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing excellent. Later today, I'll be recording with our old buddy Godfather. So I got a
say hello for me. Say hello.
Yeah,
for me.
will do. Got a fun day ahead of me. Look at you repping both. You got double Deep South merch on.
Oh yeah, man. Sporting the hat, the shirt. There's even a pin on my hat here on this one side. Yeah, I'm going all out. Just a blatant promo for my merch, man.
That hat kind of looks like the Sad News Bears hat every time.
It's exactly. That was the
was that the inspiration?
That's what we were shooting for.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Bad News Bears look, man.
That's so good. That is so good. Let's talk about first your most recent event for Deep South Wrestling. You guys had a great event this past weekend.
Yeah, we was at New Realm and had a really good show. It was excellent. It was off the hook. I wasn't able to go, but I had because I couldn't get anybody to take care of watch Mom and Nick for me this time. But I did have reports, and I had a couple of people that had some live feeds going that they were sending me. So I did see some key important parts of the show. But everybody showed up, man, and rocked it once again, man. It's a really great gig, and if you ever get a chance to come check out a show at New Realm Brewery, that's where we hit the hardest right now. And there and Monday Night Garage, those two spots right there, we're hitting really hard at. So you got a chance, come check us out because it's a fun time, man.
How did our buddy Stunt Marshall do?
Stunt come out on top, man. They kept their titles, and then he went and found a place to shower up and hit the road. Yeah, he was off to the airport. He's out there and went on to. I don't know how he did in the slap deal, but I haven't heard anything. So, but I guess we'll see it on the internet or coming up here pretty soon.
I guess we will. We will see. He was at Power Slap 15. I'll try to find that before we get out of here. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I hope our buddy won. I'm rooting for him. I think he earned a lot of fans last week.
That's a crazy sport, man. There's no way that you could survive that sport without having some kind of brain injury. You may already have one to have to get into that sport.
It was funny. He shared a YouTube video of himself that somebody else had made. Mm-hmm. But it was all Power Slap, and he was included because we saw his last one, which was just a devastating knockout. And somebody said Stunt Marshall has entered the CTE Olympics, so they're knocking each other out.
Man,
so if you want to hang out with us today, we appreciate you joining us live on our X feed, also live right here on our YouTube podcast Heat Wrestling, where we're bringing you shows and content every single day of the week. So we appreciate y'all subscribing and liking. Make sure you turn on those notifications. You'll see when we go live and whenever anybody else goes live on the podcast Heat Wrestling. If you like to support the show, you can do that a couple ways. One quick, easy way is make sure you're like and subscribe and interact with us. Follow us on social media. Drop us questions whenever you see us. Also, another way you can do so is to hit us up in the super chat. You can hit us up with the super chat. That way you jump to the front of the line. We make sure we cover your question or comment before we leave here today or any show. So hit us up in that super chat. In the meantime, we'll get to as many questions as we can in the chat. We've also got some posts up where people left comments and questions for you, Nick. We'll attack those this time. I've got some headlines kind of in the wrestling world. I kind of want to see what you think about that as well. So we have got a lot to do in the next hour or so. So everybody hit us up in the chat. We'll get to as many of those as we can. Nick, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We've talked many times here about John Cena. He's on his farewell tour. Got going on. They've just announced his final match. Well, his date. We know that. The tickets are absolutely crazy and out of control. But I just saw on a recent headline our buddy Ric Flair, who said, quote, John is making so much damn money in the movies right now. He doesn't need to do anything else. I hope he'll walk away and stay away. Wrestling is very addictive. When you've done it as long as John has or anybody has over 20 years, it's hard to change your way of life. I see John periodically, but I can't say enough nice things about John Cena. He's a wonderful person, and he is very happily married. His wife is lovely. They're building a new home in Tampa. So, Rick, not going against his own advice, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say that's some really sound advice, but coming from him, I'm like, wow. How can you actually say that? If the offer was right now, he'd pull out the drawers. He'd have those trunks on, going woo, one more. Somebody made him a offer. He'd be out there trying to do that little flip in the corner and having somebody slamming off the top out of the doing the little front face bump.
As long as he can do some chops in a figure four, he's good, isn't he?
Yeah, we'd get the whole gauntlet, man.
I was about to say, I love Rick. I've known him and hung out with him many times. And I was there and part of the production for, Ric Flair's last match in Nashville just a few years ago. I still don't think it's his last one.
But honestly, I think that was a wake-up call for him, because
it probably was.
It had to be.
Yeah, he saw how he was physically after that.
Yeah, that had to be, something that you did like just on cruise control for so many years. It's
now a labor.
Man, I'm telling you, I've joked about it, because I don't get in and out of the ring a lot anymore. But when you don't do it for a while, just climbing in and out of the damn ring, you look clumsy as hell. It's like, what this guy used to, what the hell? What's he doing?
I've been in a ring just a couple times, not as a match, just like getting in the ring to do something or talk or, at an event. Every time I'm like, how do I get through these ropes without looking stupid? And you can't do it. You can't.
Yeah, you got to come up with a special intro where you slide in under the bottom.
No, I wanted like Conrad or somebody to sit on the middle rope and lower it for me.
I'd get stuck trying to slide under. They'd have to try to pull me out.
I couldn't imagine sliding. I could not imagine sliding. But Nick, what do you think? I think there's truth to that. I think it's like any kind of it's kind of like any kind of sport.
Yeah.
Any kind of entertainment. It is addictive. You do have that bug. You do want to keep doing it. You see the guys that retire from any kind of professional sport, wrestling, baseball, NFL, whatever the case may be. They go, hey, I still want to do it. I still have that love. I physically can't do it, but I also miss that camaraderie with the boys and the girls in the locker room.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? I know that's harder to say, but I think John Cena, this should be it, right? Don't prep us for a year on a final tour and then come back down the road. I think this should be it. What do you think?
I think if they do it right, and it appears from everything that I've seen so far that they are, that it would be the perfect way to go out because he has so many, like you said, he got so many other things going. and he would be able to find the right person, pass the torch, or anyhow they want him to, because very seldom do they let their stars just ride off into the sunset. They want to pass the torch, and that's business. And that's good business. But sometimes for a sentimental, but if they didn't let the Undertaker ride off into the sunset, I mean, and I'm not saying that he's bigger than Cena. I'm just saying that the sentimentality of the story, it would be a good thing for him, I would think, to go out on his own terms, whether he passes the torch or they let him, either, like I was saying, ride off in the sunset. Either way, the presentation is right now is good, and he's in the position to pass the torch. And but I do agree that there has to be a point at some time, and you have to try to stick to your guns, like you said, and it's hard because they'll always keep trying to pull you in for one more. But I relate it to a lot of those rock bands that they had their farewell tour, and they have like 7 of them. And it's like, come on, man, you've said goodbye to us for about 11 times now.
2001, I paid a car payment almost to go see Kiss's final tour.
Yeah.
25 years later, they're still going.
Yeah, they're still going. Yeah, but I agree with but Rick needs to listen to his own advice as well. Because that, like I said, that last match was a wake up call. He could have dropped, and from what I understand, he did. He fainted and had all kinds of come very close health wise.
Yeah.
And I heard people say that he wanted to go in the ring, but nobody wants to see him go in the ring. Nobody wants to see him go. They want to see him keep going woo and do what he's doing. And when you hear bad things that are happening to him, it makes you feel bad for him. But I think for him to try to climb in the ring again would be a terrible mistake. But Cena could do it. But why? You can see that he's limping now. I saw a thing on that. He's got back problems and hip problems from. You can't do that same move over and over and over and over for year in, year out. Even if it's a simple move, it's a jar on your body over and over and over, and you're going to tear stuff up over time. Especially with because he was part of that's 300 something a day year schedule. People, he was in that time era, and they've become more talent friendly now. But he's already got 15, 20 years under his belt. So the body will tell you when it's time to go, and when you get to a certain point where you're not able to put out that 5-star caliber match that you've always wanted to be able to put out, then you're doing it for sentimental reasons for me, or you're going in for a quick payday.
Yeah,
and
that's tough to tell somebody, though.
Yeah, it is very hard to tell somebody, and it's very hard to come to that reality about yourself. But it's a reality that everybody faces. Every athlete, every entertainer, everybody that comes to time. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. And you got to figure out where you're going to go when this story ends. What's going to be your story after that? And he's in a good spot to go whatever path he wants to go. His path is pretty much already laid out for him.
Let me ask you this. We've talked about Cena a little bit between me and you over the last couple years, but of course, WrestleMania 41, he defeats Cody to win the undisputed WWE Championship. And that was his 17th, and he broke his tie with Flair for the most recognized world championships in WWE history. They were, of course, tied with 16 forever.
Right.
When it's all said and done, if this is it, which I think we all agree, I just want it, if he says it's it, I think for the fans' sake, don't give us a farewell tour and then come back 10 years later. You just go, hey, man, you jobbed us for a year then. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want that deal, and that's hard to predict. But
come back and do a special appearance on WrestleMania or something without getting in the ring and having a match.
I mean.
Don't do a match. Show up and get a huge pop and be he can come in and be a general manager for a night. Or there's just tons of shit they can do.
Yeah,
all still get something off his name without having to get him in the ring.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: when it's all said and done, of course, his final match, opponent not announced, but just over 2 months, December 13th. It'll be Saturday night's main event, and that will be his last match, which we'll talk about that, I'm sure, when it gets closer. But when it's all said and done, Nick, where do you think he starts to fall? He's got to be getting close. If he's got to be at least close to the Rushmore conversation, top 4 of all time. He's got the most championships now. He's done everything. He's had this final ride. He was the top merch seller. Like, however you want to put it, at one point, John Cena was on top of whatever you want to put it. Where do you think he starts to shake out here?
How many people get an entire audience everywhere he goes, half of them to chant his name and the other one to chant "you suck" in a competition fun battle against each other, that in an eruption every single time? How many people can get that, in this era of, because we used to, when we went from old school to new school and we started traveling a lot more, we realized that in different places, they didn't buy baby faces and heels the same in different places. Like in Georgia, you could be a baby face and come out and do the handshake and all that stuff, and you go up to Philadelphia and you come out and try that shit, and they just they hate you. So you have to learn to adapt to both, and he figured out how to get that maximum reaction out of both sides, and that's how he gets that boom, boom. I mean, everywhere he goes, just go see the socks, and they want to do that. That's he'd have to be on the Mount Rushmore, and plus, and I've said this before, speaking from a company owner standpoint, you're going to sink millions of dollars into somebody that's going to bring you in billions. You'd like to know that this guy is level-headed and that you can trust him and that he's not going to do some goofy bullshit. And I have never, not in all these years, not one time heard John Cena's name ever get attached to something that was negative that could bring him down or made the company or himself or his title or his reputation look in a bad light. Not ever.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of folks can say that, and that being, given that and how much money have they made off merch off this guy? Oh my God, So he would have to be one of the
top 10. What do you think? Worst case?
Easily top 10.
Yeah.
Top 5.
Top 5.
I would. Yeah.
Like you mentioned, and when you go quote whatever, it's all made up, but quote wrestling Mount Rushmore, it has nothing to do with outside the ring and behind. But like you said, John Cena, record for most wishes granted through the Make-A-Wish, 650 and counting for Make-A-Wish. It's exactly what you want for the face of your company, whatever the company is.
Yes, his contribution is just unparalleled. He's gone out there and they gave him the mailbag and he threw it up on his shoulder and he toted it for him, man. So hell yeah, I'd put him in, and he'd be in the top 5 for me, because it's not always about, well, yes, but he wasn't maybe the best technical wrestler. You're going to get people complaining and bitching because he wasn't like the man of 1,000 holes. He didn't have to be, he was a gimmick and a character, and everything he did was believable and was able to work with. I say this about, you got to be able to work with everybody from giants to people that are much smaller than you and make believable. People buy it, and he has that talent. He would have to be in the top 5. And if you knock him and you think that he wouldn't because, well, yes, but he wasn't a technical wrestler, then to me that's kind of a mark reaction to me. I'm looking from a business standpoint. From what he's drawn at the gate, what he's drawn with merch, what he's brought to the table, reputation, the whole 9 yards. He would have to be in the top 5 easily.
All right, let's get to some questions here. Ibiza and Arroyo hit us up. Thank you, sir. It said the WWE Vault yesterday released the 94 quote retirement match of Flair versus Hogan. You are the ref. Nick, what do you remember most about that night? You had the crew cut that day, he said.
Oh wow, that must have been when they told me to get the haircut, and I was like, okay.
Flair's 94 retirement match.
Yeah, I don't really, and to be honest with you, I don't really remember. I know that I have pictures that people have sent me of me doing that match, but there was no drama or anything to it. There was nothing, no crazy bullshit that stood out. It was two pros going out there and having a match. That's how I couldn't tell you what they did because I really don't remember. But the fact that those two were together and there was no drama or no bullshit tells you something. And it was Flair's retirement match, I'm sure, because
quote.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to, they tried to get something out of that, but I thought it was, for what it was a decent match. It wasn't a Flair Macho Man, but and it wasn't it wasn't a Hogan Andre. It was, but it was still a hell of a match between two of the top guys in the industry. And if you think about it on paper, man, that's a monster on paper,
Yeah.
So.
I was trying to get this pick up real quick.
Yep. There I am doing my Richard Nixon imitation.
Yeah, you do got the tight buzz cut there.
Yeah. And the porn stash.
Let me ask you this. We're looking at this. I've never asked you this before. You got that. That's when you're rocking the button down with the bow tie.
I love that picture though. Not for me, but Hulk is hulking up. Yep. And Flair is doing the little woo strut, and both of them doing their shit at the same time. And I'm photo bombing it in the middle, doing the Richard Nixon, man. You can't. I love it. And we've got a hell of a crowd.
Crowd is on their feet. You got the guy right behind you with an old school camera. You don't see that anymore. Yeah. You got the guy right over Flair's leg who's dressed in Hogan stuff. That's pretty. Yeah. That's a solid little pick right there. Let me ask you this. Did you like the bow tie? What's your favorite look? You like the stripes? I
like that blue SmackDown shirt that we had in WWE was my favorite look. Yeah, that blue SmackDown shirt was my favorite look. I didn't like the bow tie and the blue shirt because it was just so hot and confining on your neck. And we worked winter, summer, spring, indoors, outdoors, and man, some of them shows are hot.
Yeah.
And it was impossible once you did 3 or 4 matches for you not to have sweat completely through that blue shirt. And there was no way that after 2 or 3 matches that your bow tie was going to stay straight through the whole match. Once you're up and down and sliding to do it, and especially if you're in a match where you're moving and working, and you look at that bow tie and be like, crooked as hell a lot of the time, like somebody, if I ain't holding onto the ropes, my damn bow tie is crooked. So I just couldn't win, man.
That's good stuff. By the way, shout out to Austrian Glover. Hello from GB. Is that Great Britain? I would assume. Well, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I'm going to ask the stupid Mark question. I wonder what time it is there. It's not our time, so. Whatever time it is.
I think they are 7 hours ahead of us, I think.
Whoa, really? If you pull that out, I'm going to be super impressed.
Check it out. I think they're 7 hours ahead.
It's 9:30 in Great Britain. So for you, it's 5 hours.
Okay.
6 hours for me. So you were there. Probably that might switch across the country there.
That's close.
Thanks for spending your night with us. We appreciate that. Austrian Glover. Oh, this is a good one. You speaking of shirts, you just mentioned it. Arroyo said Jimmy Corderas was at a 90s con here in Jersey last weekend. Still had a SmackDown Ref shirt. Do you still have yours? Do you still have any of your golf shirts?
Yeah, I still have some of my old WWE shirts. I think I have 1 or 2 blue ones. I had one that I gave to a good friend of mine. That I had a silver Sharpie and I autographed it for him and I gave him one, because he was a good friend of mine. Nice. He was a big fan. And it was funny. He was a friend of my son's and he met me several times, didn't have a clue, And then when he found out who I was, he was like, holy shit. Because I used to hate you. He said, me and my brothers, we used to take chairs on the video game and hit you. And I started laughing. And we ended up being really good friends, man. So I gave him one, but I still have a couple of them, yeah.
Oh, so he just knew you as his buddy's dad. He didn't know you were.
Yeah, he didn't
Nick
have a clue.
Patrick,
Then when he figured out, and then when they told him, he was like, "Oh my god,
that's great, dude. That is super good." Hey, one of the topics, and I don't know if you've had a chance to see it or not, but on a recent SmackDown, we had a huge referee botch. Did you get to see that?
No, I did not.
On SmackDown, there was a three-way match. It was the main event of SmackDown. The WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton against Nia Jax and Jade Cargill. Mm-hmm. And late in the match, Cargill gets busted up. She goes out of the ring. Mm-hmm. They had a ref kind of attending to her wound. She comes back in, hit a move on Nia Jax, went for the pin. Stratton comes in and breaks it up. She drop kicked her, and then she did a pin, and there's confusion on what exactly happened. But the bottom line is
the ref took the heat.
Nia Jax did not kick out, but
okay,
she stopped at 3. She did the
She pulled it with nobody counting. Yeah,
held up to 2.
That's the
and
worst.
Then you can see Nia look at her and go, "I did not kick out."
Yeah, bless her
heart.
And
of course. They've got to regroup, and they've still got to continue.
Live TV, man.
Yeah, the ref is.
I've counted people out before, man, and there's a way. There's a way out of it. You can count them out still, and I've done it. It happened to me. I was working with Undertaker and JBL, and I can't. I think we were in Tokyo. I'm not sure because they did a lot, and they would call a lot in the ring, trying different things without talking about just try things,
Okay.
And there was a false finish one time that was just that John cut it so close that there was just no way that I could stop my hand. And I went 1, 2, and I hit 3. But as I hit it, I looked and I jumped up and I waved it off. No. And I signally pulled it up like that. And I went overboard with the pantomime, and continue. And it worked, so, and it was a hell of a lot better than pulling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So think of, as a ref, try that sometimes because it never pull it, man. Never pull it. You'll gain. See, that's one of the holdbacks of not having the 300 a day gear. We worked so much with different people, so much every night on the road that we knew who we could trust and who we didn't, and we had our timing and our rhythm down with people that you knew who you could trust, and there were sometimes the people that you're working with that you don't know for sure, and you're just hoping to God they kick out. That happened with me and Booker one time. Booker was hurt, and I didn't know it. He didn't say he wasn't hurt. He didn't kick, and I pulled, but it was a little house show. Thank God, And it was with Matt Hardy, and so I jumped up and I made a big production out of it, and I made Matt get back in the corner, and I went down and checked Booker, and he said, "I can't get up, man. There's something happened to my back," and so I made Matt stay in the corner, and instead of just ringing the bell, I gave him a 10 count, and I 10 counted him out. And then and gave the X, and I counted it fairly quick. I didn't make a big goofy slow production deal out of it, And and I shouldn't have even done that. I should have just waved it off. But I was, hindsight. You're winging shit live sometimes.
Right.
So, but that's it happens. It happens. But as from a ref standpoint, you're going to be better off to go ahead and count them out, and because they didn't kick out. That's not your fault. If they didn't kick out and you count them, that is not the referee's fault. And if somebody starts yelling at the referee, then they are yelling at the wrong person. The ref's trying to work with folks. But if they do kick at the last second, like happened to me, but it was like there was no way. It was so close. But go ahead and count it.
Yeah.
You're going to get less heat. You're going to get less heat. And you're trying, and I understand that you're trying to not let the match just all of a sudden, you've worked this match and all of a sudden you get to this point, and then when that happens, it just goes, You know what I mean? And you're at the peak that you've built to.
Right. Nobody's talking about the match before that now.
Yeah. So how do you keep from? Where do you go from? There's nowhere to go from there. So sometimes you just got to count them out, and it's better for them to go, "What the F was that?" than to go, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Chris. Shout out to Chris Van Vliet. Great interviewer, great podcaster. He had on legendary ref Charles Robinson, and CBV asked him. He said, what happens and what happens in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get your take on what Charles said. He said sometimes guys forget to kick out, and in our defense, because people say if they don't kick out, don't count to 3. Well, if you know that's not the finish, guess what? Mentally, you're not going to swipe. It's not a shoot. So it makes it much more difficult to do that. We'll try to fix it some other way, but it's either we're going to count all the time and you just kick out or not, which would end a lot of matches quickly, or when they don't kick out, we just try to fix it somehow. He also mentioned it's not up to the referees to make the count close. It's on the performer to kick out close to 3. And he also said referees call out the numbers each time they start the count, and that he often yells kick out before the 3 sometimes even. And if you watch it, you can clearly see it looks like the ref is actually calling out the count. So that leads to it, Nia Jax. What do you think about him saying that? Hey,
I totally agree. And I've gone so far as to have because I count with my left hand. So I would take my right hand and jam it up under their shoulder like I was checking their shoulders, and I'm counting. If that shoulder wasn't up, I'm pushing that subbitch up with my hand.
Really?
Yes, sir. I've done that. I have done that before. Somebody that I don't really know and I don't trust, and they don't look like they're going to kick, and I have my hand there just in case I needed to.
Do you remember any in particular? You don't.
No,
no. Okay. But for sure you've done it.
Oh, I've done it a bunch of times. Yeah.
And you have to do the lift?
Lift works? They feel it. You can feel them going there. It's there, but I have had to, and I'm like, dude, come on,
Give them a little nudge, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Didn't hear? I'm right here by your head screaming it. They heard me out in the friggin' parking lot, for God's sake.
Adam Krasnoff in the chat hit us up. You can hit us up as well. Said, would Vince make sure if the ref counted 3 that the heat would never be on the ref? What would Vince do in that situation?
He'd put the heat on the guys. If Vince McMahon was sitting there, because he did that, he'd have that conversation with Teddy Long. And when I went up there, Teddy pulled me aside because he had heat with Edge and Christian.
Okay.
And because I think he counted Christian out. And Christian was cutting it close, and sometimes, and Christian is an awesome worker. And I'm not knocking him, but sometimes guys just cut it too close, trying to get that drama, and they got to realize there's no way, because they want to slap it hard, and there's no way that you can, as close as they cut it, sometimes pull it. There's no way. That's why I did the other. So Teddy, till Vince pulled him aside, said, if you don't count it, you're the one that's going to get the heat. So Teddy was counting them some bitches out. I said, you better kick because I'm counting your ass out. And there were a couple of people that had heat. And then Teddy will count you damn right he'll count your ass out. Vince told him to. And I knew that, so and it's their job to kick out. It's our job to make sure we're close enough and right there where they can hear it and they know what's going on. But it's on them to kick out.
That's tough. I think what Charles said, I'd never thought about that. I think subconsciously, if you guys know the finish, then even if they're not doing it, it's hard to, you're trying to make it look as good as possible.
You're trying to make the match flow and be entertaining and be, make it look like, oh my God, that was drama. But if they're just a turd, they just lay there. Then they have buried you and buried their match.
And buried everybody.
But it's them that did it. Everybody else says, oh, the ref, because the ref is the visual. The ref is the visual. But he's not the one that screwed up unless they pull it, and you're trying, like you said, you give them your trust. You're trusted in them. You're trying to make it as good and as dramatic as you can be. you're going to get burned once in a while. You know, pick who you know, who you trust. You work with who you trust. But if you don't trust somebody, they'll say, look, man, get that hand in there close and be loud. Say, kick, before you come down with that third kick. I'm surprised they didn't pick me up a bunch of times.
All right, let's see what we got. Eric Tate said, do you remember the hot coffee spot on a WCW either Saturday night or Nitro? You got hot coffee poured on you.
Oh, I think that was a Macho Man spot. Yeah, because they had me cut a bit. I don't really remember. I remember getting coffee. It wasn't hot, but I was sold it. Yeah, I remember that spot because I had me cut a big promo about it, and I had a thing going with Macho Man. So yeah, I do remember that. Wow, that's funny. Great. Thank you. Thanks for watching, dude. That's cool.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. But yeah, because that was one of the things that I was trying to get him suspended. And he attacked me and he did coffee on me. Yeah. So it was just, that was when Nick Patrick was teetering on good guy, bad guy. What is he?
Oh, that's great. Let's see what else we got. Y'all hit us up in the chat. You can get us a question. You can hit us with that super chat. You can jump in front of the line. Nick, also, I hate to keep bringing up our buddy Charles Robinson, but it was a great interview.
No, Charles is great, man. He's one of my good buddies.
He also brought up a time and I thought it was pretty funny and very interesting. He said they asked him about Goldberg spearing him during his retirement match earlier this summer. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Charles claimed that Goldberg cracked one of his ribs.
Right.
And Chris asked him about it. And he said, I mean, normally he picks you up and he lays you down all nice and soft. This time he went right through me. And Chris said, and then he cracked your rib. And he said, well, no, my girlfriend and I were in the movie. And I said, what can I do to put this over to make Goldberg feel good? So there was an image of a broken rib online. So I just posted that. Goldberg even apologized publicly for hurting him. And so he said, I had to call him and tell him what I was doing. And he said, that's a great idea. So he didn't mind.
That's awesome. Made it real, man.
I was going to say, did you ever have a fake injury? But you did a whole neck brace.
Oh yeah.
But, that brings it up. What was the hardest bump you ever took? We've asked about a ref, and I think you said, correct me if I'm wrong, hardest bump as a ref was when somebody threw a bottle of sand at you.
Yeah, that knocked the crap out of me, man. That dropped me. It literally knocked me to my knees. And that was Huntington Beach, that big beach show that we did with WCW. Yeah. And I thank God that the idea didn't spread, because I was just standing there and I had my back, to the beach and to the people, and all of a sudden, bam, man, it hit me right between the shoulder blades, and it literally knocked me to my knees, and it knocked the wind out of me. And I'm like, oh. I got my breath, and I come up and I kicked it out, and I saw that it was a water bottle that it was full of sand, and I turned and I was hot now. I wanted to find who threw it, and then I realized, well, if I start acting too much of an ass towards this group of people, I'm liable to get a whole shitload of sand bottles thrown at me.
That won't be the last bottle.
So let's just cool this right now and then try to no sell it as best as I think. It's hard to no sell something that knocks you to your knees, but I tried my absolute best. After I, tried to kick some of the sand out of the way, I'm like, oh God, if I could see who did that. Once I catch my breath, I punch that subbitch right in the nose, man. That hurt. And I'm really lucky it hit me like where it did, because if it hit me in the head or in the neck or something, it could have been bad. I seen Randy Anderson get knocked out by a golf ball one time. Somebody
ball.
Yeah, somebody chucked a golf ball out of the balcony at the Omni. It went boing right off of his head, man. Oh. It went down, man. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. What's funny is
Charles,
he was really liked golf. You know, I was like, yeah, that must have been a sign of some sort of somebody that he must have hustled in a golf tournament or something. Said, okay, Randy Anderson, here it comes.
They're getting their get back.
Oh man, they got him too, man.
Charles said the worst he ever took was not as a ref, but was when he was actually still a worker. Yeah. And he said it was a match between Medusa and Savage versus Charles and Rick. And Savage came off the top rope.
Yeah,
and
he
boom,
about killed
cracked
Charles.
His sternum and collapsed his lung.
Yeah, he about killed Charles with that elbow, man.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Well, what do you remember about it?
There's very few people in this industry that I've had words with, and Macho was one of them. I've probably talked about it before, and it was because of stuff like that. You know, he would get into a zone, and sometimes he'd get careless, especially with people that he felt were underlings. You know, so
so maybe he thought, hey, Rick's not going to take it. If you're going to take it, I got to.
Snug, you think? Yeah, but that was just so. Charles is not a big, jacked up, muscular guy that can take, you know, hard blows like a lot of those big cats can take, you know, and man, that's a hell of a shot, you know, and Charles was wide open, gave him his body, and bam, it hurt him pretty bad, you know. That was really uncalled for if you can't do, you know, because he's such a good worker, you know, and he can drop it and not touch you if he wanted to, you know. So I always wondered what the hell was all that about. Was it just an accident, or did Charles do something to piss him off? Did Charles owe him money? What the hell, man?
He did say he was in the hospital for 12 days.
Yeah.
With a cracked sternum and a collapsed lung. And he did though end up by saying that Savage checked on him every day, and he was very clear about what he wanted from his in-ring work and checked on him. So put him over at the end, but very interesting. He dropped that elbow on him hard. So I wanted to ask you, what we've discussed the ref. What do you remember your hardest bump as a worker when you're in ring?
Power bombs are tough, especially when you take one from Kevin Nash or the Giant, or, you know, anytime you've got a guy that's 7 foot tall that gets you up here and drops you, whether it be a power bomb or a choke slam or whatever, and you're taking that fall from 7 feet, there's no way to take that without it knocking the wind out of you. You can land perfect, you could land flat, it's going to knock the wind out of you. Boom, man, you're going to hit. It's like getting tackled, the hardest tackle that somebody has ever hit. You know, it knocks the crap out of you. Even if you land right, you know, bumps hurt. I heard Spike Dudley.
You're flying out of the air. There's and landing on a hard surface. There's no way to make it.
I heard Spike Dudley being interviewed not just here recently, and it was about some of the crazy stuff that he's done and thrown him in. He said never did anything that he knew, because bumps hurt. You know, even the crazy bumps that he took, he said he knew it was going to hurt because bumps hurt. You know, simple, common bumps hurt.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between hurting and getting injured.
Yep.
You know, but there was a fine line there that he was tiptoeing on with some of the crap that he did. You know, some of the things that he did, it's absolutely amazing that he didn't get injured, you know, and I think there maybe once or twice that he actually did and was kind of keeping it on the low, you know. There was a couple of those bumps. There's no possible way he could have not got hurt doing that.
Yeah, he was slung all over the place, man.
Oh my God, bless his heart.
All right. This is a good one from Ash. Ash Perez in the chat said, Nick, let's do a top 5 that Conrad does in his podcast. Top 5 creative geniuses in wrestling history. He wants you to do them 5 to 1. Boy, that's a big thing to talk about.
Yeah, I'd have to sit and really think about. There's some, you know, been a lot of different creative geniuses and bookers in the start, and you know, and to come from different eras as well. You know, when I think of creative geniuses, of guys that can, you know, that book or come up with, you know, with matches. A creative genius. Pat Patterson would have to be one of them.
I was going to say, before you rank them, let's just try to narrow it down to 5. So you think Pat's in the top 5?
Yeah, he's got definitely in the top 5. you got to put Vince McMahon in there a lot. You know, creative genius. Look, I mean, he shaped the entire industry. You know, and the whole direction of where the entire industry is the direction that he sent us back in the day when we were all independent territories, and he had a bigger vision. You know, and you know, so he has to be in there. And
Vern,
I would
Bischoff, Bill Watts,
Bischoff. Yeah,
King.
I would go Bischoff. He's got to be. He's definitely in there. Watts, yeah.
What about Lawler?
And I would throw Jim Crockett in there.
Okay. Jim Crockett Senior?
Because Jim
Junior?
Crockett. Yeah, Junior. Yeah. I never worked for Senior. You know, my dad did, but I never did. And I never really worked for Junior, really, because Turner had bought WCW by the time I was hired. And the Crockett's were just kind of advisors at that point in time. So, but I did go up and do a couple shots for them, you know. But as far as working the territory for them,
but you know that, but you understand the history. So,
yeah, because my dad worked up there a bunch of different times, you know, throughout my lifetime. When my sister was born up there, you know, and I was just little. I was like 3 or 4, and he worked Charlotte territory several times. Pop worked a lot in the Southeast. He would bounce around between Florida, Charlotte, Louisiana, a little bit in Pensacola, but mainly Florida, Georgia, Carolinas, and Louisiana. Pop up and mixed in with overseas stuff, Japan, Australia, back, you know, and you know that's what kept Pop busy. But
so you got Pat, you got Vince, you got Bischoff. You got who else did we just say? Crockett.
Yeah, Crockett, David Crockett.
And then who?
Jim Crockett, not David Crockett. Jim Crockett. Let me think.
Who would be 5? The King, Bill Watts.
I'll tell you another guy that and I didn't really like the guy that much, but his booking kept Crockett's territory on fire for decades. A guy named George Scott. He understood, especially the old school promotion. You know, when it started transforming into new, and transitioning into more newer. You know, he was struggle with that. You know, but as far as old school, he kept that Charlotte territory on fire, man.
As far as putting together matches that would draw people in.
Yeah, he was the booker that put, you know, that was the steering the ship, actually, you know, on a lot of those big years. So, you know, pre-Dusty years, before it was WC4 on Channel 17, back when they just had all their local TVs up there, and you know, their territory was strong, man. It was one of the Carolinas was always one of the strong territories. It was one of the top ones if you wanted to go in and be a moneymaker, but you're going to travel your ass off up there too. They ran hard.
All right, if y'all got your top 5, let us know in the comment section. Drop a comment and let us know who would be in your top 5 creative geniuses. Good question, Ask. Good question, Ash is the name, not Ask.
Appreciate what's funny is about it, that's going to stick in my mind. I'll be thinking about that about an hour.
I was going to say, you're going to take.
I should have thought about this guy, man. What the hell am I thinking? Yeah, because there's a lot of guys, you know, new school, old school. You know, I'll tell you another guy that's a creative genius, and it's always had a mind for the industry. Michael Hayes. Hayes got, you know, he's helped more people get their character over and become a character than a lot of people, you know, and a lot of people don't realize that. And he had a very important spot, you know. So I you know, that's another name that doesn't get thrown out there a lot. So Michael rubs people wrong every now and then, you know. But I like Mike. I've known Michael since we were very young together, you know. And,
it's hard to narrow the entire history of wrestling down to 5.
Yeah, because there's different fields. There's wrestlers that have psychology that call their matches, that you know, and there was bookers that mapped, you know, that had a vision for everybody, you know. So to me, that's where I was looking more toward the ownership booker, you know, the type of position, because they're making the whole ship sail, you know.
Yeah, so many different. You mentioned Dusty. He could be in there.
Dusty had to be in there.
The King
He
for what he
kept the
did in
Florida and
Memphis.
Carolinas and Georgia bouncing back and forth. And yeah, he could. Yeah,
Stu
Dusty
Hart could be in there. Vern Gagne could be. I mean, when you get back into the territory days, it's so broken down into a different kind of, Paul Heyman.
Jim Barnett.
Jim. There we go. Yeah. See, there's just so many.
Because he had Australia, and he ran stuff around the world, not just Georgia Championship Wrestling. So that's another name.
Let us know yours in the comments below. Let us know your top 5 creative minds creative geniuses in the wrestling history. Boy, it's hard. You're going to see it different. You worked up close and personal with all of them.
And
we did not. So, we're just seeing what we're fed or what we imagine or whatever. So it's very interesting to see everybody's take. Appreciate you asking that, Ash. Let's see what else we got from our post. We got from our Podcast Heat Wrestling channel. Always encourage y'all to interact there. Funko Poppin' Lockin' said, Nick, how did you keep that glorious mullet looking so good for so long?
I was just lucky, man. When I was a kid, I could tell if it was going to rain or not by my hair if it curled up. So all I had to do was make sure that I had it cut back over my. It was funny. The mullet was perfect for me because hair on my ears dry. When I was real young, I had long hair, and I didn't think about it. I don't like the hair on my ears, man. I don't know if I'm going to touch autistic or what, but it just dry. It's like,
you don't like it touch? Like if it touches it, it
drives when it starts touching my ears, it drives me crazy. Especially since I started wearing short hair. And I like short hair. When I start feeling it touching my ears, man, I'm like, okay, man, I'm gonna get that damn razor and cut it myself. Yeah.
Well, did you have a go-to product? Do you have a go-to shampoo? Or just whatever you grab?
Actually, I use, and my son uses it too, because Big Nick would get some eczema spots. And we had dermatologists tell us that if you get the original formula, Head and Shoulders, and shampoo your hair, but wash your face with it as well, it'll cut down a lot on eczema. And
really?
So my Nick does that, and then there's a little ointment too that's like just a little like lotion that's for that. I forgot what it's called, but I think it's got the name in it, eczema, something.
So you're doing Head and Shoulders.
Yeah, so we do that. Yeah, just the plain. Yeah, so original formula. It's got to be the original formula because they got like 5 or 6 different kinds. They got different scents and stuff. And that don't work. It has to be the original formula. And man, that's so. My son Nick uses that, and I used to get them too, especially when the season would change. And if I use the soap, if I have to use, like, my skin's real sensitive. I got to use like the fragrance-free stuff, And I'd be on the road and I'd run out of soap. I'd use some of that hotel soap that was all scented. Man, I'd end up with red blotches on my face and stuff. And people are like, "What the hell happened to you, man?" I used some messed up soap, dude. And my scalp would be all itchy because I didn't use my kind of shampoo, man. I just it get me all out of sorts, man.
Let's see what else we got. Nathul one said, Nick, what's the worst in-ring injury you've seen in person in the ring?
Sid Vicious breaking his leg, that compound fracture. I can't even look at that back again. I can't watch it. That was, yeah. And there's been some others that's been that bad. That one was terrible. That one was terrible. And Joey Mercury getting his nose split in half. That was another terrible one. That they had that table, ladders, and chairs thing that they were doing, and he did a spot where they made like a teeter-totter out of the ladder. And he was coming up, and one guy jumped on the other end as it come up, and even he put his hand up, and part of that ladder hit him right in the nose and broke it, but split it, man. It was. Ooh. And he come walking. I looked at him. He rolled out, and I come up to him. I saw that, and I said, "Come with me. We're going back." He goes, "No, I got to go do this." I go, "No. You're not. You're done. The match is over." I said, "You're going to be okay, But listen to me now. You got to go to the trainer right now. Let's go. And I had him by the arm. He go, oh, is it okay? What's wrong? You're going to be okay. I kept telling him, you're going to be okay. But you got to get looked at now. And I'm sure when he saw it, he was like, holy shit. I mean, I'd never seen a nose just split like that, man. I was like,
gosh.
woo. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
By the way, before we get into wrapping up, a name got brought up in the chat, which we have talked about before. And so I know both of us, me and you both, after this would have went, I can't believe we didn't say his name, but in the chat, Kevin Sullivan's getting brought up a lot.
Yes, Kevin Sullivan. Yeah, he'd have to be in the top 5, definitely top 5 easily. That would have rounded off my 5. He would be in the top 3 as far as for me.
Just an incredible mind for the business.
Because him and Bischoff together, there was a lot of creative shit going on there when you're those two guys under the same roof, man.
We're getting a lot of people talking about as a worker, not just behind the scenes. We got multiple people bringing up Bray Wyatt. So I'll bring him up. Did you ever get to interact or work with Bray Wyatt?
Not as an adult. I just knew him as a little boy.
Right.
When his dad used to come around, we used to do TV tapings down in Orlando at the Disney Studios. And Mike would show up with his wife and his kids. He had two little boys. I don't think they had the little girl yet. But they had this little female Rottweiler that hung out, and she would watch those boys, man. She sat right in the middle of them two boys, and you wouldn't come up and mess with them two boys with that girl sitting there now. I mean, she had that little. She never snapped or growled at anybody. But if you come walking toward those kids, you know how they wrinkle that head up and they look at you like, hey, now.
Yeah.
You know?
They're like, I got my eye on you.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
Hey, something goes down.
And you better be looking at me. Yeah, I had a Roddy. They're I love them, man. I had the Armstrong brothers all come over to my house, and they were all there. And so my Rock comes running around and he jumps up on the fence, right? Now Brad was the only one of all the brothers that was scared of my dog. You know, Brian was, hey, ready to get in, petting him, and he was giving the old butt wiggle, and he was all happy. And the other Stevie pet him, boom, and Scotty pet him, and he's getting the old wiggle ass. And Brad looked at him, he started to kind of reach his hand, and my dog looked at him and went, pow. He gave him that, because he can smell.
He picked up the energy.
They smell that fear. Yeah. And my dog was such a trip. I'd take that big goofy son bitch to the vet, and he would be the wiggle ass because there'd be baby talking to him as he walked in, and they'd get him in the room, and he'd be doing the wiggle ass. As soon as that shot, and he saw the syringe come out, I'd have to put the muzzle on him. But it was the damnedest thing. He was super baby, but if they pulled out a syringe and he saw a needle, it just
came on. I've heard of a bunch of people a bunch of the boys had. I've heard of a bunch of Rottweilers.
Yeah,
I feel like that was a big dog a big dog that a lot of the people had.
Very protective, and he would do like he did just like Rotundo's dog did. When my kids would be playing out in the backyard, my big old Roddy would sit right in the middle. I knew I had the right dog because this is so far back when we still had phones on the wall with the cord, And my son Nick, when we just had bought this house, and my son Nick and Tony was in the backyard. They were little boys playing, and Nick saw a chance that his mama was on the phone. His little ass started toward that back fence, started climbing. She's on the phone talking to her sister. Wait a minute. And she hangs it up and goes running out there and pulls his little ass off the fence. And I stop that, Nick. She goes back in. That's back on the phone there. Good Nick again, ma'am. And that happened twice. She pulled him down and she's back onto the phone. He went for a third time. And when he did, the Rottweiler went over there and grabbed him by the loose part of his shorts of his pants. Didn't get any leg, didn't get any skin, and pulled his little ass right off of the fence. And I was like, holy crap, just instinct, because he was watching. Yeah. They watched and they're studying.
He learned by the first two times.
He said he ain't supposed to do that, and she's on the phone. I'm stopping this shit. It was it was really cool.
And now look at you. You got a bunch of cats.
Yeah, I got a little red cat that thinks he's a Rottweiler.
Yeah, I know Scott Steiner used to have a Rottweiler, I think.
Him and Robbie had Rottweilers. Scott had a little pit bull too that Road Dogg had. Road Dogg had a little female pit. You've heard the stories of him staying with me and my family for a
Yeah.
short time. We had a little female pit, and that little female pit just loved my youngest son, Tony. Man, she just followed him around, and I still had my big Rottweiler, right? So we were going to make sure we kept them apart, and we didn't have a bunch of little rotten pit puppies. So we had the laundry room that, it's like through the windows is the backyard, and we had this little steel dog cage. So we put her little ass in there because she'd come in heat, and we put my big Rottie out in the backyard. She took her head and rammed the door of the cage until she got it cracked open enough where she wiggled out. Then she ripped out the screen because she was El Destructo, man. You couldn't put her in a room. She would claw through the door and rip the paneling off. That's why Scotty ended up getting rid of her. He was going to breed her with Arnold, but she was just like a little tornado, man. But she loved my little Tony. She followed that boy around, and if you went to put a finger on him, you'd get. When she growled, she sounded like a little chainsaw. She was like, oh my God, this little female dog's possessed. It was the damnedest thing I'd ever heard, man.
Arnold was Scott's dog, right?
Yeah, Arnold was Scott's dog. They used to bring him to the ring and do different stuff, And Scotty would get that little dog all turned on. Look at that. As soon as he'd have to say, look, that dog would just be ready to go, man. It was, yeah.
What was? Go ahead.
No, I was going ahead, man.
What was what was that? You that was telling me about Undertaker's dog?
Oh yeah, the damn Rottweiler. Oh yeah, he stole the Buzz Sawyer's Rottweiler. Buzz had a Rottweiler that was the meanest damn dog, and Buzz was Buzz was nuts, but he would shoot his dog up with steroids, and then dog was just. You go walk by the car, and he was like trying to bust through the window to get. I was like, man, that's the nastiest, meanest damn dog I'd ever seen in my life. Well. Buzz had a business, and Buzz would clip you in a heartbeat in a business deal. You never do anything money-wise ever with Buzz. And Undertaker was going to have Buzz train him and gave him some money to do so, and everything fell through, but Buzz still had money evidently, but there was no train. So Taker was going to get something, and he went to talk to Buzz face to face, and Buzz was probably hiding somewhere, but they said he wasn't there. So he looks, he's going to take something. He took that damn mean-ass dog. I said, how did you get that son of a bitch in your car? He said, well, he was a little grouchy, but he got him. A little grouchy. Holy, man, I couldn't imagine that, I thought, man, you must be a way nuttier than I give you credit for.
And then he kept the dog forever. He
kept the dog, yeah.
It's all life.
He said he's old and cantankerous and nobody can mess with him. Oh, no shit. He was on steroids for about 6 years before you stole him. He looked like he was training for Mr. Olympia.
Oh, I can't imagine allegedly giving steroids to a Rottweiler. Yeah. Incredible. Incredible.
Smart, huh? It says on the bottle and a lot of that stuff, it may make your horses skittish. Now, if it's going to make a big old giant ass horse skittish, what's it going to do to a 100-pound dog?
Oh, gosh.
It's going to make it something that's going to chew through the wall. And that poor Rottweiler, bless his heart. It wasn't his fault.
Look, somebody get this to Taker and Michelle on their pod. And ask them tell us the story.
The dog has to be long
about the family dog. Though we got to hear his side of it.
That is you got to ask him about that damn dog. I was just dumbfounded that he stole the dog and took him and made him his dog. Like, how? I mean, because every time I ever saw that dog, it was like I might have to shoot this subbitch. Like I ain't gonna get eaten up. It
ain't gonna be me.
No, it ain't gonna be me. No, it ain't my fault that this guy, that this dog is jonesing for some testosterone.
Some anabolic, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little CC short, Buzz. Come on, man.
CC short. I need some dry kibble and some anabolic, please. Come on now,
man. A little D-ball, please. Come on, jeez.
All right, Nick, man, I can't believe an hour's flown by already.
Yeah, wow.
But quickly, or not quickly, but I just mean before we get out of here, Deep South Wrestling, you guys got, a string of events coming up, brother.
Yeah, we got a couple shows coming up at Little 5 Points, and we got another one coming up at the end of the month at New Realm. So I'm trying to see if I can find some dates here. Boom, boom, boom. Little 5 Sunday is going to be Little 5 Points coming up. So we got a big title match.
Sunday the 5th, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we got a title match with Naja versus Diggs, and I don't know how this is going to play out. It's the first time I've heard of this. It's a gender reveal match with Gemma Jewel and Audrey Allen. And
really?
Yeah, and we've got Apollo versus CT Entertainment, and if Apollo wins, the CT has to join back into Apollo's group, and I'm sure Apollo will be trying to make him do some flunky stooge work for him if that happens. But that's the 3 matches that we are advertising for the Little 5 Point show coming up on Sunday.
So you guys got a lot going on, and a couple more after that as well.
Yeah, I think there's 2 Little 5 Point shows, if I'm not mistaken, and then we got New Realm coming up right after that at the end of the month too. New Realm's closer to the end of the month.
Keep track of them. Their YouTube channel, you can find them on wearedeepsouth.com. Instagram is at Deep South Wrestling. Make sure you follow that.
I got to get my live event straightened out on my website, so that right now, if you look at it, I think that there's something wrong. I'm going to try to get them as soon as I get off this podcast. I'm calling, hey, what's up with the live events on the website?
But you are in the middle of switching stuff up. Yeah, that happens. You can see the website, and the merch is up there and looking good. Like we said last time, you got new bios for a lot of the talent that's rolling through there. So exciting stuff happening at Deep South Wrestling. Check them out online. Check them out right here on YouTube. As soon as we go off the air, go ahead and look for the Deep South Wrestling YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to their channel as well. Thanks to everybody for joining us, watching live. Thanks for everybody who dropped a question for us. We greatly appreciate that. If we did not get to your question this time, we'll try to get to it next time. We apologize for that, but we only got a certain amount of time here. And if you want to make sure we get to yours next time and jump to the front of the line, hit us up in that super chat. And that way you can support the show and make sure your question or comment is read right here to Mr. Nick Patrick himself. Nick, hope the family's well, man. Hope y'all have a great event this weekend, and look forward to seeing you again next week, man. Sitting down with you, hearing about it, and talking with everybody listening and watching us right now.
All right, man. I'll be here, man. Thanks, and thank everybody for your questions. We had some really good ones today, man. I'm going to be thinking about the Mount Rushmore of people, though. But it's there's so many areas to cover about great minds. In-ring worker great minds, booker great minds, owner great minds. There's a lot of area to cover there.
I can't wait. I'm fully expecting sometime today. You just text me a random name where you go, damn it.
That Kevin Sullivan, I can't believe I didn't think of that.
I know both of us.
That probably would have been the name that popped in my head, because that's just like so obvious. And I'm sure there's several others that are just like incredibly obvious.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for Nick Patrick. I am Cassio. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and being a part of everybody here at Podcast Heat Wrestling. We'll see you back here again next week, exclusively here on Podcast Heat.